Them dudes just, using their YouTube status to come in boxing and make all this money. And
other than boxing, there's a lot of egos involved, if that makes sense. Like he said this, he said that, and I want this, I want that.
No, that's not fighting. Fighting ain't even in the definition of boxing. What is boxing?
Jake Paul Crumbled by Terence Crawford highlights the stark difference between real professionals and social media hype. Crawford emphasizes the disrespect when fame outshines experience. Anthony Joshua's knockout revealed Paul's limits and reinforced why the boxing world values skill, preparation, and true heavyweight mastery above all else.
And you got all these boxers that's been doing it their whole life that doesn't even make close to what they making. I think it's disrespectful to us in the game, But
Duke McKenzie cut straight to the truth. Jake Paul's mouth ran faster than his skills could handle, and Anthony Joshua taught him a harsh lesson. Every punch exposed the emptiness behind his hype. This is what happens when a fighter trades experience for bravado. Paul's broken jaw is a permanent reminder that talk is cheap.
I'm glad Anthony Joshua did that to him, because now he won't be able to talk like he does for a while. We won't have to listen to his bullshit.
Joseph Parker explains the methodical brilliance of Anthony Joshua. Jake Paul had no chance against someone who can dissect a fight with precision. Every feeble attempt Paul made was met with calculated power. The moment Joshua identified the opening, the outcome became inevitable. This fight was a masterclass in patience and dominance. Paul's movement and hype were no match for the reality of a real heavyweight, and every punch reminded everyone why Joshua is feared in the ring.
Joshua did what he had to do. It took him a while to get it, but he had to break him down and chase him down and unleash his powerful shot.
Ariel Helwani perfectly captures the intimidation Anthony Joshua brings into the ring. Jake Paul was completely outmatched and exposed every weakness. Joshua's power and reach made every attempt from Paul futile. This was not a fair fight, but a demonstration of what separates hype from skill. Each punch reminded everyone that social media fame cannot survive in the reality of a heavyweight ring. Joshua's dominance was absolute and unavoidable.
And every time he threw a punch, I like winced, because he's a big man and he's an incredible boxer and he's still in his prime, and he's got a very long reach, and he's got a lot of power in that right hand, and that left hook is terrifying as well. And so I thought it could end at any moment. And so
Johnny Nelson highlights the limitations of Jake Paul in a heavyweight fight. Footwork and speed could not hide the fact that Paul was outclassed. Anthony Joshua's strength, timing, and ring IQ meant that Paul's movement was irrelevant. The fatigue and panic were inevitable as Joshua took full control. This fight showed clearly that social media hype cannot replace professional skill. Every round exposed Paul's inability to withstand pressure against a real champion.
Smalley was a little faster to get out of the way, use his footwork, but there was nothing else he could use, because AJ, once he slowed down and started to gas out, you could see he's like, oh my God.
Duke McKenzie breaks down the pathetic reality of Jake Paul's approach. Survival was the only option, because winning was never on the table. Running and hiding from Anthony Joshua showcased a lack of courage and preparation. Every evasive move confirmed that Paul relied on luck and hype rather than skill. Joshua exploited every weakness methodically, exposing Paul's limitations. This was a brutal lesson in humility and a reminder that in boxing, skill always triumphs over talk and theatrics.
Jake Paul knew exactly what his tactics would be going into that fight. He was in there just to survive. He wasn't in there to win. He didn't even try to win. He couldn't win. So when you know your mindset, you know your mind's like, I can't win that fight. What do? I've got to survive. How do I survive? I've got to run like a thief.
Logan Paul inadvertently sums up the chaos Jake Paul brought upon himself. Anthony Joshua's precision punished every overconfidence moment, leaving Paul with a broken jaw. This was a harsh reminder that in the ring, bravado is meaningless without skill. Joshua's power and timing exposed Paul completely. Every punch reflected the consequences of overestimating oneself. The result was a humbling reality check that made a mockery of social media bravado and reinforced the dominance of true professional heavyweights.
Missed him off, then he broke my brother's jaw. Broke his jaw, huh? He spoiled his jaw. Yeah? You don't care though, Jake's having a fucking blast.
Eddie Hearn outlines the undeniable reality that Jake Paul was never a contender. Surviving was his only objective because Anthony Joshua's skill left no room for victory. Every defensive move was met with inevitable pressure and calculated attacks. The gap in experience and talent was stark. Joshua's dominance forced Paul into a desperate struggle, highlighting that hype and confidence cannot replace preparation, technique, and raw heavyweight power.
I mean, at the end of the day, Jake had one job, and that was to try and survive. I mean, he was never, ever going to win the fight, ever, ever. And if you would have said to me, do I think he'll go 6 rounds? I would have said absolutely not. I mean, I felt that it would take AJ a couple of rounds to get hold of him, because I knew Jake can move a bit and he'd be moving off the back foot.
Carl Froch exposes the embarrassing reality of Jake Paul in a heavyweight ring. Despite swinging wildly, Paul could barely connect and immediately resorted to survival mode. Anthony Joshua controlled every moment with calculated precision, highlighting the vast gap in skill and experience. This was never about luck. Paul's attempts to look competitive was laughable, and Froch perfectly summarizes why true heavyweight mastery leaves hype fighters exposed. Every punch, every movement underscored Paul's inadequacy. Joshua's dominance was relentless, reminding everyone that social media fame cannot replace professional talent, preparation, and raw power in the ring.
It's just a fucking piss take that this guy's in there with Anthony Joshua, swinging away, landing... What's he done? He's had 18 minutes and landed 2 shots, and he's gone on survival mode. And there'll be
Johnny Nelson perfectly captures Jake Paul's moment of truth. Anthony Joshua forced a reality check that exposed every weakness. Paul's confidence and social media bravado crumbled under the pressure of a real professional heavyweight. Every punch and defensive maneuver highlighted the difference between hype and skill. Nelson emphasizes how Joshua not only won, but taught a harsh lesson about the limits of unprepared fighters. Paul's shattered mindset is a reminder that talent, experience, and preparation are non-negotiable in the ring, and no amount of self-belief can compensate when facing a true champion like Anthony Joshua.
You've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shattered. You know, this guy, everything I thought I could do, I couldn't do.
Duke McKenzie sums up the poetic justice perfectly. Jake Paul's mouth outpaced his skill, and Anthony Joshua delivered the consequence. A broken jaw is a permanent reminder that hype cannot survive against power and technique. Every punch landed by Joshua reinforced the gap between real professional fighters and social media stars. McKenzie highlights the humiliating truth that Paul's bravado had no value in the ring. Anthony Joshua's dominance was methodical, brutal, and fully deserved. This incident also sent a message to anyone who underestimates the art of boxing or thinks that popularity can substitute for genuine skill.
Joshua did that to him, because now he won't be able to talk like he does. For a while,
Vidal Riley emphasizes that Anthony Joshua's victory was not only about skill, but also about reach and influence. While Jake Paul brought attention, Joshua converted it into a display of dominance and respect for the sport. Paul's hype did not translate into results. Riley underscores that Joshua's performance showcased his talent to audiences who might have underestimated him, proving why a true heavyweight champion commands attention. Every punch, every round reinforced the difference between showmanship and real ability. This win expanded Joshua's legacy and reminded the boxing world that experience and power always triumph over bravado and social media fame.
It was the bread. AJ's win today was the exposure to more people. Even though he's mad famous, as we know, like, there's a community he hasn't touched, and I think he touched that community.
Spencer Oliver highlights Anthony Joshua's calculated dominance. Jake Paul's movement and desperate attempts to land punches were futile. Joshua controlled distance, timing, and power, making Paul look outclassed at every turn. The lone clean punch from Joshua ended up breaking Paul's jaw, underscoring the futility of hype without skill. Oliver's analysis emphasizes that Joshua did not need to rush, he dictated the fight at his pace. This was a clear display of mastery, patience, and precision. Jake Paul's attempts were laughable compared to Joshua's professionalism. Every action proved that experience, preparation, and raw power cannot be matched by social media bravado.
Anthony Joshua, I think that he needed to get the job done inside the distance, and he done it. Look, he could have done it at any given point. I think that he could have cut the ring off whenever he wanted to and got Jake Paul out of there. He took his time on that. He allowed Jake Paul to run around like a rabbit and throw the occasional shot from time to time, and I think he only landed one clean punch, didn't he, Anthony Joshua? And that was the one that broke his jaw in 2 places.
Simon Jordan captures the laughable contrast between hype and reality. Jake Paul runs around the ring trying to create entertainment but accomplishes nothing in the process. Anthony Joshua demonstrated why skill, experience, and raw power define a true champion. Paul's attempts were futile, and Joshua's dominance exposed the empty bravado behind social media fame. Everyone watching could see the difference. While Paul looked frantic and desperate, Joshua remained composed, powerful, and precise. Jordan emphasizes that no narrative can hide the truth. In the ring, hype does not equal victory, and Joshua's performance is a masterclass in control, patience, and lethal execution, leaving Paul humiliated and exposed.
Netflix have got some wonderful content, and Jake Paul runs around doing what Jake Paul does. So everybody wins, and only the people that don't win are the people that go, well, look at, and even the people that think Anthony Joshua is a busted flush now go, well,
Pain Game explains how Jake Paul's entire strategy revolved around evasion and stalling. Anthony Joshua dismantled the idea that movement alone could secure safety. Paul's attempts to survive were pathetic in the face of a real heavyweight with timing, power, and intelligence. Every hold, every drop to evade punches highlighted the fear and lack of preparation. Joshua controlled the fight from start to finish, proving that skill and experience always dominate hype. Pain Game highlights that Paul's strategy was never about winning but avoiding punishment. Joshua's precision, patience, and ability to punish mistakes made the whole plan irrelevant. This fight confirmed the brutal truth that bravado cannot stand against a real champion.
Just run, but generally, you know, the game plan was to run a lot, hold whenever he had to. He dropped his knees for a fucking takedown. Quite.
The weed concept lays bare the sad reality of Jake Paul's fight plan. Running and surviving was his only option because facing Anthony Joshua head-on would have been catastrophic. Any expectation that Paul could trade blows with a true heavyweight was pure fantasy. Joshua's dominance made the limits of Paul's skill obvious to everyone. Each missed punch, evasive maneuver, and desperate retreat reinforced how unprepared Paul was for this level. The Wade concept emphasizes that bravery without ability is meaningless. Anthony Joshua's control, timing, and power left Paul humiliated. This fight proved once again that hype and social media popularity are no match for professional experience and heavyweight excellence.
Justified in saying Jake ran from him because he had to. He had to. And anybody that convinced themselves that Jake was going to walk to the center of the ring, stand in the phone booth with AJ, and trade punches until someone laid flat, you were lying.
David Hay breaks down the reality of Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. Paul relied on movement and hope rather than skill and preparation, and it was painfully obvious that his plan could never succeed. Joshua controlled the pace, distance, and timing, landing devastating blows that left Paul battered. The overconfidence and reliance on lateral movement could not hide the huge gap in experience and power. Hay recognizes that Paul took some shots, but Joshua's dominance made every effort futile. The fight reinforced that skill, preparation, and heavyweight power always trumps social media hype and bravado, leaving Paul humiliated and exposed to the world.
He got the knockout, everyone was expecting it. It's very difficult to pin someone down when they're not trying to engage. Jake's game plan was a good one, was to use lateral movement and the hope to land a big overhand right at some stage to catch AJ off guard. Didn't quite work out, but you got to give Jake credit. Took some big shots there. I think he's got a broken jaw or some spitting blood at the end of the fight. No, anything's possible. He gave it a go. He dared to be great. Didn't work out for him, understandably. That's why he was such a massive underdog. But
Anthony Joshua has once again shown why he is a true heavyweight force to be reckoned with. Jake Paul's hype and social media bravado were completely shredded inside the ring as Joshua methodically dismantled every attempt at offense and exposed every weakness. Paul ran, survived, and prayed, while Joshua controlled the fight with unmatched skill, power, and precision. This was not just a win, it was a statement. The gap between hype and real talent has never been clearer. Fans are talking about the brutal efficiency, the devastating power, and the patience Joshua displayed. Looking ahead, one cannot help but speculate about the possibilities for Joshua's next opponents and the kind of lessons he could teach anyone stepping into the ring. Could we see another social media fighter humiliated in similar fashion, or will someone finally challenge Joshua's dominance? The anticipation is electric, and every fight is now an event that demands attention. Don't just watch history being made. Join the debate, share your thoughts, and tell us who you think can even survive against a fully realized heavyweight like Anthony Joshua.